This OG is great. It's blowing my mind. Like, I can't believe this exists here.
And my relationship with Washington goes back to 2016, and it started in the pursuit of learning more about hash. This is where I met a few people at a Cannabis Cup that were willing to take me around town and introduce me to others. And in that journey, I ended up taking my first dab of water hash off of a Mothership Mini. That moment really changed my life. And so the chase began to understand more about hash, to understand more about consumption. That journey for hash led me to hash makers across the country.
But it also led me to people like Scott Deppe, the founder of Mothership Glass and the first stop on our trip.
So in the earliest days of dabbing, you would drop a dab down and the entire dab would vaporize. It would evaporate entirely. And that was happening because you were burning it at extremely high temperatures. You got absolutely no flavor from it. You also would be holding your chest in quite a bit of pain because of how hot it was.
Literally this one time I put the hash in the honey bucket and it wasn't quite hot enough. And so I went to hit it and no smoke's rolling off of it. And I blew into the bowl and this like huge cloud of smoke came off. So I need to make some kind of device that'll plug the top of it, but that'll directionally blow air onto the thing.
Now, when Scott blew over that magic nail and saw vapor pour out of it, what he had discovered was that you can get this really high vapor intense experience, but at really low temperatures. What he ended up doing was unlocking two things: the safety of dabbing, not needing to take it at temperatures that can harm you, and flavor that was impossible to see before. And this started an iterative path of the tool to consume hash got better. You were able to see more flavor and more of what it had to offer. And so then the hash had to get better because more nuance was available for an average user to see. And that journey continued on in developing better hash devices. And with better hash devices came better resin. And we're still on that journey today. There were innovators that had arguably built the road to dabbing and certainly built the road to efficient low-temp dabbing with the carb cap. This is the place where I fell in love with hash and began my journey to truly try to make dabbing the most accessible thing in the world.
Oh my God. I mean, my mind is kind of blown. This is like an honor of a lifetime. After spending time with Scott and the team at Mothership, we road trip down to Eugene, Oregon to catch up with another old friend and legend in the glass space, Bob Snodgrass. From his humble start in the Grateful Dead lots, trading pieces for tickets and gas money, he is one of the pioneers of this entire space, and his passion is infectious. There's a reason why they call him the Godfather of Glass.
This was probably my favorite trip to Bob's house, but I'd never actually been inside of Bob's house and really had that much of a moment to sit down with him and Marie and the rest of the family and just ask questions and chop it up. You know, they have the line, "Thank Bob for your snotty." And what that really means is that Bob has been single-handedly developing this space from the pipe maker and consumption perspective for a half century at this point. He just wants to show you what he loves doing.
This one, my grandson, Ben Naaman, made Ann's son, and that's supposed to be me in a tube.
Does look like you.
A little bit.
And that's the magic of Bob. When you're near him, you are around somebody who is in love with what they do every day and the people they share their time with. This is a family that's on the same journey that their dad started many, many years ago, and they've never stopped sharing that information, not through their own family, through the apprentices, through the people they teach and they meet across the country. The Snodgrasses are built on love and sharing with others.
The last big stop on our trip was Archive Portland, a true vertically integrated brand that has been setting the standard for quality and accessibility.
I think what Archive is doing is quite special. You know, it takes a lot of resources to maintain a bunch of mother plants that are really old. In some cases are older than some of our team members. That's a really hard thing to do, and I don't think many businesses can survive by doing that. You are looking at obsessives and hobbyists and people who are doing this for themselves. When they were showing me their flavors, they were happy somebody cared because most people just want Skittles or Do-si-do or the new hype thing. And so I don't know if other places can do this. It's what makes Archive so special. They want to protect what got them here, and they also want to build the future. Walking into the Archive private reserve was like taking a journey through my earliest years of loving cannabis. The terps that were there brought me back to other Rogers. The Roger that was smoking Master Kush was not the Roger who was smoking Skittles. It was arguably a different human. And they had so many other flavors: Bubba Kush, King Louie OG. The Chem 91 makes me lose my mind. I'm sad I can't smoke it every day. On the contemporary side with Archive, outside of the Archive, you have some of the best flavors this generation of cannabis users have ever seen. Moonbow, Do-si-do, Rude Boy OG, White Tahoe Cookies, One Star. The list goes on and on and on. And they're not just developing these flavors, they're also manufacturing them, so people can go and buy that flower. They're also washing it and turning it into rosin. They are a one-stop shop. And to me, one of the most beautiful part is that when they're done producing these new strains, they start sharing their genetics and offering cuts in their dispensary to anyone who wants to come in and buy it. That to me is what makes Archive a Michelin type of experience. They're starting all the way from developing a palette of flavors that they think people will love, manufacturing it into incredible flower, converting that into incredible resin, and creating an atmosphere that makes it easy to learn about what makes them so special and buy it. It's unlike any other place I've been to in that it is true single source. Everything they do comes from within, but when you walk into their shop, it's also their reflection of what is best in the entire market in Portland.
When we put out the call for our Portland jar check, I expected to see really incredible hash and rosin, but I didn't expect the bar to be so high. And I didn't expect there to be so many people.
Throwing a jar check and having 40 to 50 hash makers show up, that's not normal. That's not something you could just do anywhere in the country. And Portland isn't one of the biggest cities in the country. So seeing the concentration here that all poured in throughout the state, there's no other place like it.
If there's something about this part of the country that is really special, it is the absolute obsession and what that drives amongst all of the individuals contributing to the space. Thanks as always for watching. If you enjoy the content, hit that like button and maybe consider subscribing. We have videos coming that dive deeper into everything we talked about today, so stay tuned and we'll see you next time.